What's up, everybody? This is Enlightened Masculinity, the third official Enlightened Masculinity episode to the new IMC TV YouTube. But of course, it's like, I think it's actually episode 300. I'm pretty sure the last one I uploaded was 299 or 298. So this is either 299 or 300 on Enlightened Masculinity. And I've done many. There's a whole team. TK, Officer Jeremiah, many people in the past have helped. Neil Kerr, and and the staff is really bigger than that. So there's a lot of IMC staff that kind of make these things happen. And Enlightened Masculinity is a free offering to the world. It's actually free to you guys. It costs me money to post on podcasts. If you ever try to post a podcast, you have to pay actually to have it posted on a platform or whatever. It's not like that much, but it adds up. Like, $5 a month is $60 a year. $20 a month is, it adds up, and if I've been having it for years. So that's what I paid to distribute my information, or my oration of the teachings, because so many teachings come from AZD, my mentor who I live with, other teachings. I have a lot of great men on the wall, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Michael Singer, BNS Iyengar. There are many teachers that aren't even named that are here, and then of course, I have a stack of books that I read every day. I'm a philosopher. That's what I do. I'm a yogi, monk, urban yogi, philosopher, player. Let's put that in there, because I play the game of life. I play the game of the relationships. I play the social game. I play the money game. Even like I'm in the game of life, but practice a lot of spirituality, and on levels and ways that it's everybody thinks they're right. And so I'm not here to say that you're wrong, but I'm definitely here to say that I could explain my spirituality probably much better than you could. And that makes a difference here, because if you can't make yourself make sense to somebody else, then you probably don't even really make sense to you. You're just going off of feelings and intuitions, and that could be totally misguided. Like I've said on, I think it was it was Science of Spiritual Growth, another podcast I had. But a few years ago on an episode, and I was talking about intuition, it gets mistaken for, you have a deep belief about how something should go, and you're probably blind or mute or numb or deaf to that belief. So you don't even know that it's a belief you have. You're just, if you quiet down enough with meditation or through some good conversational analysis, somebody would be able to identify, oh, there's your belief. Or you might find it through a lot of journaling processes, you'd find it. But if you're just normal operating throughout life, you're not really hearing your beliefs to yourself. You're just operating off of them. And, you're a complex biological robot machine. Like, you don't just lift your arm for no reason or walk over there for no reason. Like, you have beliefs that make you take actions in life. You're just not hearing them all because it would be too noisy. You'd be hearing stuff all day. But intuition so often gets so often, meaning like almost all, in my opinion, almost all things that are considered intuition by the people of Earth, or what can I say about the people of Earth? The people that I've interacted with, the few hundreds of people or whatever, or even dozens of people, let's say, that have named intuition to me, like, oh, I just have an intuition. But it's a feeling you have that's either aligned or misaligned with a belief that you have. And when it's aligned with the belief and expectation, you think about something that's going to happen, it feels like, oh, I have an intuition about that. Or it goes against it, so much of the, the chasing or the being guided by intuition is really just being guided by your own beliefs, which are patterns from your past. A lot of them you didn't decide. Someone gave them to your parents. Someone even beat it into you, like slapped you upside the head and said something, and that became a belief of yours. And so later in life, you think you're being guided by intuition. You're being guided by how your nervous system is interpreting the sensory data from outside of you and filtering it and processing it through a bunch of beliefs that you have, a whole bunch of beliefs that put together kind of represent you. They're like your personality. They represent you. They're not you. You are the soul. They represent you to the world, which is an inaccurate representation, because so many of your beliefs, almost all of them pretty much, maybe even all of them, have nothing to do with you. They're what the world gave to you or the people around you gave to you, impressed into your system. And you never revisited them. You moved on. Life was so busy. You had to go to public school and get a job and get money later and blah, blah, blah. You never revisited your beliefs. And, transcendental meditation helps with this. What we do with IMC Nation helps with this. And this is not even related to what the fucking topic was going to be today. but I guess I can interweave it because, explaining spirituality. So if you can't explain why you do what you do and thoroughly and without skipping over points that like, don't make sense to people, like you have to make a leap of faith. Well, I can't explain that. You just have to believe me. Well, that's where your spirituality falls apart for me. So I can explain my spirituality very well, and and getting better and better. Even like I just said, like I just talked about beliefs and intuition. That was me explaining some things about spirituality. There are people in different spiritual paths, from Christians to witchcraft to everything in between, Satanism, who knows? Everybody's going to have these ideas about intuition, and it's a common understanding. Shit, I have this understanding. It's common to me. This comes from AZD, that the number one spirituality on earth is the worshiping of the mind. That people, they think they're monotheistic or polytheistic or atheistic, or they're praying to this angel or this god or this alien, or whatever their spiritual they have beliefs about what is the spirituality, what is the whole system that they're operating on. That those are all in their mind, and they're worshiping their own mind about God. Let's just take God for example, and so many people have some concept or belief or some idea about God, and they regard God through that idea. So the idea is what's getting their admiration or their fear or their consideration. Their mind, they're worshiping their mind about God, not God itself. They're worshiping their mind about Jesus or their mind about Buddha. It's not Buddha itself, it's your mind about Buddha. People, the big number one religion that goes veiled, meaning it's like concealed to everybody, is that they're practicing the spirituality of their mind, which is like mentality, or I don't even know. Yeah, mentality, I guess. That's like spirituality, but for the mind. That's interesting. Mentality is like the word. Wow. I just saw that relationship with that word, mentality and spirituality. So I labeled this episode Embodying Your Body and Emotions and Telepathy. You might not believe this, but everything I've said up until now was actually my intro. I didn't even accurately intro the show. The show, I was going to say, I just finished saying this is the third episode on the new IMC TV. It's the 300th episode on the podcast. You can go to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, fucking all of them. It's on even, I think, Amazon. It's on Audible. It's on a bunch of platforms. So you can see all the episodes there. See the evolution, because the first episodes were from a long time ago. Man, that was a different me. And it's still me, but it's just like, wow, my communication skills, my understandings, my certainty, the pace, the quality of communication. You could select by title, I try to title these things like what I'm saying, but like you can see in this episode, I've named it embodiment and telepathy, and all I've talked about is like this other stuff so far. So you got to get through my intros. I have these lengthy, monologues here at the beginning. And so check that out. Subscribe to the show, leave a comment, leave a review or whatever. And, Enlightened Masculinity is a red pill show about masculinity and enlightenment. And hold on, I gotta pin this video. And neither of those things do I think are what you think they are. I don't think masculinity is what you think it is. And you may have some words that are kind of similar. It's aggressive. It's the leadership. It's the patriarchal energy. It's the forward moving. Like you might have some of those basic words, but watch it in application. You won't identify masculinity correctly. You'll call what's masculine feminine, what's feminine masculine, because you're confused. And you will definitely have resistance to the expression of masculinity if you're a man, or resistance to a man expressing masculinity if you're a woman, because you are programmed with suppressive ideas about it so that you resist it. The elites, the elite few hundred of the planet of 10 billion run the planet by installing beliefs in the mass population that gets them to check themselves, to check each other. And so they don't have to police as much as you think. They give them a bunch of slave beliefs and withhold the truth, because when you hear the truth, then you get more powerful and you want to be more expressive. You want to share the truth and you have more confidence about things. Like, let's say some highly spiritual person deeply, truly believes that he's going to live after he dies, that the death is just a transition, that there is no death. it's going to be very hard to control that person because you won't be able to threaten them with killing them. When you know the truth about things, you become more powerful. Versus also, if there was, let's say the truth was, this is, you only have this one shot at living, and if you die, you're done. That person, it's going to be very hard to deflect them from what they think is they should be doing, because they only have this one life to do it. And they become very powerful in their own life because they will refuse to be distracted from once they know the truth. Now, people are holding on to their personal truths and thinking of them as the truths. And that's, the biggest impediment to improvement. Like L. Ron Hubbard says, the biggest impediment to improvement, change, learning is that you think you already know. You think you already know, and so you won't learn anymore. That's what a lot of guys, they won't join the Dragons. They're like, well, it's just about getting girls, which it's not. But it's like, I already get plenty of girls and I don't need that and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, judging by your Instagram, judging by how you're texting me, which is what I have to go off of, is your communication and, your social posting, whatever. You're not doing well. You're not doing well in life. You're not expressive. You're indirect in how you communicate. And you think and you don't, because if you were doing really well, you'd be doing better than me. And I would be able to tell. I'd be able to tell by how you communicate and what you're posting that you're doing really well. And you still need this because you're doing well without this. And so you should still come get this, but whatever. There's 250 people plus in the program right now. So it keeps growing. That's a large number. I think that's the biggest it's ever been at. Actually, I should report that. So thanks to the IMC outreach staff, Sultan, Fernando, and Jeremiah, and all these guys. Zay. Okay, so moving on now into the topic, right? So Red Pill Show, this episode's about this and that, and embodying your body, emotions, telepathy. I've talked a little bit about emotions already. Emotions, there are going to be some emotions that are biological, like you go to the edge of a cliff and you feel fear. That's a natural emotion. There are other emotions where it's like you're worried about something, like in the future, like taxes or something. That is a different kind of emotion. There are the emotions that are innate, like you hear a snake hissing or something, or let's say the warmth of a hug from mother, or any of the emotions, let's say before or after sex, copulation. Like there are some natural hormonal emotions that come, almost you could argue for any animal. I'm sure two animals after having sex feel some certain affinity towards each other, unless they don't have those same hormones or the same kind of nervous system or whatever. But like mammals or whatever, I would definitely buy into that. But a mammal is not going to worry about taxes or worry about what they got to do tomorrow or worry about their bitch coming home and arguing with them. Or they don't. So there are some emotions which are a lot of the emotions, probably more than half of the emotions you experience are due to expectations and anticipations you have, that you expect a situation to turn out a certain way or be a certain way, and then it doesn't go that way. Could be good or bad. You think the school is going to happen tomorrow, but then it's a snow day. But my expectations, now you feel all this joy or whatever. Versus if it was just a Saturday and there was no school, you would still feel good it's a Saturday, but you wouldn't wake up with like all of this wave of emotion when you found out it was a school day, because the one went against your expectation that there was going to be school today and there's a snow day. So boom, a fountain of emotions bursts out of you. The other one, you were expecting it was a day off. It's Saturday. You already knew there was no school. And so you have good feelings that it's no school. So that's the difference. The one is the feelings of you get to do what you want today. That's innate in both days. But the one day that became a snow day has these added feelings on it because you had some expectation it would be this way, and then it turned out to be another way. And then, of course, expectations go in the negative way. You thought that, she was going to be with you forever, and then she decided to leave. The expectation. You thought that it was going to be roast beef tonight, and it's spaghetti. You know what I mean? So those are totally mental. And it's important to see that distinction and discernment and gain discernment through your day and through your life, that there are some emotions you're having that are unreasonable. This is because of my anticipations about or expectations about what it should be. My attachment to what it should be, those emotions. And that's where we practice surrender. That's Michael Singer tech. But then there's also those emotions that, man, don't deny that you're fit. Like girls do this all the time because girls are hella traumatized. Guys are too in a different way, but girls are, guys are too. I don't want to say that guys aren't like sexualized either as young people, but I don't think there's any doubt that women, the female gender, is more objectified sexually from children on up. And so there's a lot of women that, have experienced, intense experiences that were not pleasant. And later, let's say if they're, I can speak from my experience, but I'm also part of a mastermind called Dragon's Lair. So if you're a guy, you want to get on Dragon's Lair so that you don't feel like you're trapped with your experience, that you're so narrow. Like I read these books on psychology, mass psychology and evolutionary psychology, which are big anthropological studies of like, large groups of people through time and space on Earth. And so you get like a general idea of this is a human condition. This is a male agenda. This is a female agenda. These are the different strategies, how they pan out for the male and the female. And you see this kind of meta or high altitude perspective of, oh, this is how humans mate. This is how humans relate. This is how humans build family. And it contextualizes your individual strategy in this whole kind of matrix of strategies. There's a lot of strategies. You've just chosen that one, and you've become so accustomed to it, so familiar with it because you are living with you every day. You are you. So maybe sometimes you don't think outside of your patterns because life is challenging. There's a lot thrown at us. We don't have time to just sit back and always reevaluate everything. We just kind of go with what works and try to improve it gradually. But when you read, especially like the books I just named, or I didn't name the books, but I named like the subject. When you read, then you get outside of your limited worldview and your limited ideas about it. And you see maybe there are vastly better ideas that are just way over there. It would have taken me for lifetimes to get over there, which is trial and error, gradually moving. But now that I read, I can see, oh, there's a way of being way over there that I could just leap to quantum leap, because behaviors change like that. You just decide, you could go from eating meat to not eating meat, just like that. You could go from having sex to not having sex like that. You could go from living over here to living way over there, just like that. It's a decision and then some actions. So changing your condition is really not that difficult. It's just, lack of certainty, lack of options in the mind, and probably some other variables. So not only am I reading those books that expands my consciousness around the subject, but I'm in a mastermind with a lot of guys that relate their stories and their experiences, and we hear from everybody, and it's a mastermind. So I have tremendous certainty when it comes to relationships and psychology and communication skills and what works, what doesn't. And then when you consider the level of the guys that are in the group, that these aren't just chumps, these aren't just people you pick up from the street. It's not a mixed bag of guys and girls. So the guys are all fronting and the girls are lying, because that's what, when you have a classroom of guys and girls, the girls aren't going to be fully honest. And the guys aren't either, because they're fronting. So, in a classroom, just men masterminding around these subjects, I have all this certainty about it. And so what I have noticed is that girls, a lot of times, they have a lot of tension. They deny how they're feeling during sexual relations a lot of time. I won't say most of the time, and it changes through time as the girl heals, but as the female heals. But there's just many instances of her not being aware of she has tension in her body, and it's not related to anything else except she's thinking about something. And she's thinking about something that's not present, because she's not thinking about me. I'm right in front of her. So she's thinking something else. And why? Why would she do that? Because she can't help it. It's unconscious. Something has been deeply ingrained in her system through the intensity of past experience that she's thinking about it. There may also be some instances of she's worried about this or that, or she has other things on her mind, or she may have some insecurity about like being with you or whatever. But a lot of times there's fear, basically is what I'm saying. There's fear. The woman has fear the first time she's with a new man, maybe even the second, third time. It might even be 20 or 50 times later, 100 times later. I'm telling you, like, sometimes she remembers things from her past, and you got to recognize that as a man and perceive, So what I'm saying is that there was a strong connection to what I was saying before. It had to do with emotions, embodiment, being aware of what you're feeling. I don't remember exactly where I left off with the point that, that came in. But anyway, the point is being aware of how you're feeling in the moment, embodiment. So yoga practice helps so much with this, more than many practices. I've done many forms of exercise in my life. I'm far from them all. There's many more to do, and I don't know that I'll do them all. But I can observe, because there are also many physical activities and things that I can observe with my eyes and just with my intelligence, understand some things about it at least. There's a lot of physical movement, a lot of thought involved in most forms of exercise. You have to change directions a lot. You have to stay on, and in some cases, it's so beneficial to think on your toes and be responsive and reaction time. And I mean, that's a different kind of training. Yoga offers yoga practice, good yoga posture practice, physical practices offers you a tool, or it is a tool or an activity for you to gently practice, so you don't damage the body, so you can do it many times over and over again, repetitive. It would be hard to bench press as much as you stretched. Like, you just couldn't do the same exercise like that much. And I need to close out of this app so that it's not making noise. So yoga practice is an opportunity to quietly, not with a lot of noise coming at you from the outside, not with a lot of internal chit chat, because you really don't need to be chit chatting. It's just arm here, hand here, inhale, look up, look down. Like, it's very basic. And so you get very familiar with the internal happenings of your system, your whole physical system. How does the breath feel? You can feel the breath moving throughout your blood system at some points. If you get really in tune, you can feel the blood moving through your system. That's a sensation. You can feel you have what's called tourniquet effect. So when you stretch, you kind of close off a part of your body, closes off the blood, and then release, and then you feel the blood rush. You could get in tune with your heart rate. A lot of people could have felt their heart rate. Let's say if you're a runner or something, you feel it like pounding real hard. But can you feel the heart rate when it's not just so pounding so hard? Then it's just you're gently stretching, gently moving. You get in tune with the heart rate, the different internal sensations of the organs, or different movements, little small rotations or sliding of different joints. You just get more in tune. Like, let's say the spine, for example, 33 vertebrae. Some of them are fused at the bottom, but there's a lot of joints. The spine has a lot of joints, and then the ribs are attached. That's 2 joints on either side of the thoracic. That's like, dude, I should count it up. There's probably like 60 joints in the spine at least. And you don't necessarily need to know them all or feel them all, but it's just amazing when you start feeling them more. Let's say you've never done stretching or really contemplative, means like to contemplate, deeply contemplative body movement, where you can feel small adjustments happening in your body. And when you feel the joint go into place, or you feel a little knuckle crack or something, and it wasn't in your consciousness before, you were numb to that part of your body. You weren't aware of the upper thoracic joint, or the shoulder socket could slide like that or whatever. When you weren't aware, which is how people come to yoga. I know I came to yoga. I've taught a lot of people. That's just what it is. And then you feel the joint move, or you feel the muscle stretch that you hadn't woken up that muscle in forever. You didn't even know there was a muscle there. Then it comes into your consciousness. That's embodying. You were numb to that. You weren't embodying that part of your body. And when you can embody your body better, then you are able to be a better communicator. You are able to listen better. Because you can empathize better. You're connected with the instrument. This is an instrument for communication. Like, I think this is a teaching from AZD. But definitely some of it is, at least some of the analogy. Like sharks, they have these double rows of teeth. That's like their superpower. Flying squirrels, they have the webs between their arms and legs. Snakes have venom, or, infrared vision. Dolphins like the certain kind of sound. Bats have echolocation. Cheetahs run fast. Lions are the balance of all things. Elephants are the biggest. Fire ants have venom. Like, every creature has something that makes it survive in its niche. Even the squirrel, just the regular squirrel, or the ladybug. There's the creature survives because it has the specialty able to survive in that niche of the ecosystem.
Each species of fish has some specialty why it survives, because it feeds on that one insect, or it's better at night vision, or going into crevices. It's, you know, it swims on its side, or it buries under sand. Like each species on Earth has its specialty. But what is humans? Because we're so weak, we're so slow, we're so sensitive to temperature and the elements. You could say it's our mind, but what is our mind if not without communication? If we can't communicate our mind, we're just walking around with a bunch of minds. Our mind would be nothing without communication, because you would be dumb without communication. If you couldn't hear someone else or read from someone else, you would fuck your mind. You'd be a dumbass. Your mind is as good as what you have filled it with throughout your life, or what it has been filled with, which goes through your senses or whatever. But that's where you've accumulated information from reading, from learning, storytelling, even just dialogue with people. Your superpower is communication. You are an animal of communication. Just like dolphins have teeth, but sharks have sharper teeth. Dolphins communicate, but humans communicate better. Every animal has communication, just like so many animals have teeth. So many animals can withstand a little bit of temperature range. You know, so many, we all have a little bit of each other's abilities, but humans, our specialty, like the eagle can see for like 5,000 feet or like a mile. It just has like super vision. We don't have that, but we have pretty good vision. We definitely have several advantages, like our vision, our color vision. It gives us advantage in the world. But that doesn't, you know, how did we get food? How do we organize into tribes? It wasn't just from looking at each other. It was from communication. We are a species of communication. So when you when you can embody, it doesn't need to be so anatomical to say when you embody your joints or your muscles. But when you're not numb to your body, when you're no longer numb to parts of your body, your breath, your tension, when you can relax, relaxing is part of embodiment. When you're tense, that's why body parts go numb. You may have poor circulation, you lose sensation of certain body parts. When you start doing yoga, you'll notice that you release tension that you've been carrying all your life. You were so used to it. You were so used to having tension in that muscle that it's a tremendous experience when you finally release that tension. But then you can create a new normal for yourself through regular practice. You can create a new muscle pattern, a new way of being. And so you become more sensitive to receiving communication, because that's what your body's for. You become more accurate and better at sending information, because if you have unconscious tension in your body, that is being communicated. Like the last subject I was going to talk about was telepathy. If you have anxiety, you can't hide it to somebody that is sensitive to receiving communication. Now, people that are numb to receiving communication, they don't see it. That's what happens with the guy and the girl gets tense before sex, and he doesn't even notice. He's insensitive. He's numb to his body. He's not embodying his body. But if you're embodying your body, you will quickly notice that she tensed up, that her face got tense, that her breath arrested. It's not flowing the way, like, and hey, what's going on? Like, so that's a very important factor, because guys are trying to have relationships or whatever. And it's like, it's a possibility that you could break the relationship if you mishandle that one, but you could have already had sex multiple times. But that one time she gets triggered because of the way you touched her, or something was said, or she's just thinking about something and she triggers herself. It's funny. It's like a dog chasing its tail, and then it gets nauseous or something. It's like she just thought about something, and then she went down the rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden she's triggered. She triggered herself. It's like, what the fuck? How do you do that? And if you're not a good, the relationship, it has broken before, because she gets stuck in an incident in her mind, and she starts accusing you. She blames you for it. She superimposes the incident over on top of you. And if you don't handle it right, she'll just leave blaming you, thinking it's you. 3 years later, she'll come back and be like, I was in the wrong. I was thinking about something. And you're like, bitch, you fucked up the whole relationship because of that. And, but you need to be so far advanced to your woman so that you can properly lead her. If you're just a little bit advanced, you're going to fuck up in the leadership at some point. You got to be way advanced of your woman to lead her. She's got to really hella look up to you. And Okay. So telepathy, how you're feeling is transferred. It's a natural thing. We are all doing telepathy. Voicing is just audible telepathy. And it's inaccurate also because a picture has 1,000 words. So if I have a few pictures in my head, I'd have to monologue to you for like an hour to get these pictures transferred to you. Versus if I had like some real telepathy, like, and then you get the picture. So, I'll post this clip later. I recorded this clip, talking about it. Like we've all had the experience of you think of someone and then they call you. We've all heard of the experience of, the child gets hurt and the mother feels it. The mother's not even around. The child gets hurt like way far away and the mother has an intuition. Oh, something happened to my child. That is just piggybacking on the natural mechanism of telepathy. It's happening always. So how you're feeling about what you're talking about is being transferred. Just how you feel about what you're thinking about, how you feel about what you're talking about. There's a difference. There's what you're talking about and there's how you feel about it. And how you feel about it is being transferred. And it depends on how sensitive the receiver is. If they're sensitive at receiving information, then they may pick it up. Always filtered through their beliefs. So even the most relaxed and embodied yogi may still have beliefs that's inhibiting getting an accurate message. They're interpreting the data they're receiving, and it may not be what the sender was intending. There's all kinds of in telecommunications, it's called noise. There's noise on the signal. The signal has noise. It has errors. And then on top of that, the elites of the world have imbued, which means like they've put into the English language all kinds of traps and homophones. And so it makes it very difficult to communicate here on this planet. But we are at the cutting edge. IMC Nation's at the cutting edge. This is Enlightened Masculinity, my show, Yogi Chris PhD. I didn't even introduce myself. Hi, everybody. I'm Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, captain of IMC Nation, the highest rank under the founder, who I live with here at IMC Base 1 Stoic Temple in Campbell, California, actually, right next to San Jose. So that's me. If you've listened this far on the recording, then you probably don't even give a fuck. So IMC Nation, get involved, imcbase1.com. That's where we have trainings. And, what is this? This is the ethics and the skills of communication, the lifestyle, the regiments, the disciplines, the scheduling, the mindset. And I've already said the skills of communication, but let's double emphasize that because that's where everybody's so lacking. And I'm improving daily. Oh, man, I'm so far ahead of everybody around me, so far. But I'm like, man, I have so far to go. Because there's so many obstacles where I don't know how to communicate in that situation. And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, oh man, and then I'm realizing like I'm still getting narrow-minded in the game of life, in my situation in life, going to that yoga studio or living around these people. Put me in another country and watch how I flounder. I don't know. So, letting go of my patterns, but also mastering, what's in front of me so that I can be a more content spiritual being, but also a more content human being. And IMC Nation, very integrated. It used to be called Integrated Mental Concepts. Now it's called International Mastermind Council. And it is all of those things. So imcbase1.com, all the trainings are there. I have some of my ebooks there if you're interested in that. I mean, the trainings are all for men, but the ebooks, women can get those too if you want. And let's see. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. We had healthy audience on Instagram today. That's nice. No questions came in, but a bunch of people listened the whole time. So I guess you guys must have, liked it. Good for you. Good for you guys. Poncho, get on Dragon's Lair. Get on Dragon's Lair. Okay, I gotta go. I'm having some things happen. Oh, this is gonna end. Okay, I gotta go, guys, because I have some things happening right now, and I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, leave comments. Subscribe on the podcast platforms. Go to IMC TV to check out all the other guys in IMC and their streams. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Jay Guru Dev.